What's up, people? Let's get it. Let's get it. You already know what it is. Hey, if you're watching this live, drop heavy in the chat. If you're watching the replay, drop hitters in the chat, man. If you're on this call, you a heavy hitter at the end of the day, man. Where my heavy hitters at? Let's go. Man, for y'all that don't know, my name is Aziz Shabazz. I am a licensed realtor, a licensed loan officer, but I'm also a professional network marketer. I help individuals to build revenue and passive income through sales and also through team building, right? The network marketing space, the team building space is in direct sales space is something that I think a lot of people overlook when they start looking at starting a business. They don't look at it as a business, but it's one of the best businesses that could have ever been created. Is actually a genius, brilliant, game plan for success. And I highly, highly recommend that more people start to look into it. But that's why I'm here to bring more light to it, to share more light on it, and to help individuals that's already in the sales space, whether you're a loan officer, insurance agent, a realtor, someone that's in health and wellness, or whatever products you have that you're selling. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's all sales and it's people business. We are in the relationship business. We're not in the sales business, and I think a lot of times people will confuse those two, and they're so focused on the sale that they don't really focus on the relationship that they can build, or relationships that they could build with individuals by serving, right? Not necessarily by selling, by serving. Because as an entrepreneur, you got to think about it. Well, when you think about it, what do you get paid for as an entrepreneur? When you think about that, the root of it is that someone has a problem and you have a solution. And when someone has a problem and you have a solution, they will exchange their money, which is value, because the dollar is the dollar, the pound, the yen, the peso, whatever the case may be. In this society, we have given the dollar value. It's just a piece of paper, but we've given it value. And because we've given it value, people will exchange that piece of paper for value, for other forms of value. So when you, as an entrepreneur, can solve someone's problem, and usually a problem is causing some level of pain, and people want to relieve themselves of that pain. That's why the medical pharmacy industry makes so much money, is because it's like pain relievers, it's like cures and things of that nature. And people want to get out of pain, and they will gladly exchange this dollar for relief. So when you have a service or you have a product, at the end of the day, what you're doing is saying, hey, I have something that can relieve you of the pain that you have, the pain of wanting to buy a house, the pain of some people may be in travel, right? And the pain of, the mundane life, the stress that's building up, going to work every day. And you may be relieving that stress for someone to help them to book a vacation, right? If you're in a travel space. Insurance, the pain of someone thinking that they won't be able to leave anything behind for their children. They want to leave a legacy, and maybe they do it through life insurance. And at some point, though, as an entrepreneur, that's why you get paid. It's an exchange of value. So you got to really focus on the relationship piece. But with all that being said, man, thank y'all for tuning in. Drop heavy in the chat if you are watching this live. Drop hitters in the chat if you are watching the replay. All right? Heavy hitters, let's go. So at the end of the day, one thing that you do have to do as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of things that you have to do, but one thing that you do definitely have to do is you have to have some patience to be able to trust the process. I think that's something that's highly underrated, because we have to, and we've been told and we've been taught, we got to be aggressive. We got to go for it. We got to go all in, all gas, no brakes. That is true. That is very true. But also, when you going all gas, no brakes, You got to trust the process and you got to have patience. You have to be, it's almost like you have to be impatiently waiting. Like I'm waiting for things to happen, but I'm not patient about it. But I have to be patient about it because I have to trust the process and I know it's a process that I have to go through. So that could be like very hard for people sometimes to really grasp or understand. And they end up wanting their businesses to be like instant, like microwave, right? What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. That's a term I never even heard of. But I'm rolling with you. Let's go. Shouts out to you. Troy, YouTube, let's go. YouTube in the building. So you might have to explain that one to me one day. But so because that's like I'm gonna use it if that's right. I'm letting you know if like I understand it, I'm gonna use that, right? But you have to be patient. And what happens if you're not patient during the process, it could lead to frustration. And then now you become frustrated. And it's, oh man, this thing is not working. Because, and I'm gonna tell you another reason why a lot of times I see individuals become frustrated or be impatient and have the frustrations is because they don't understand the expectations, right? So by them not understanding the expectation, they don't understand like the type of results they should be getting in a certain amount of time frame. They might not understand how much input you have to put in, how much you have to put in versus how much you get out. And if there's a disconnect and a correlation between that, then that could definitely lead to frustration. If someone thinks like, hey, if I talk to two people today, I should at least be getting one product or service sold, right? If no, no, this is definitely not AI. This is definitely not AI. This is live, right? But AI is fire though, right? This is doing some amazing things, but no, this is definitely live. This is definitely me. Somebody commented, is this AI? So the expectations, not understanding the expectations, not understanding like, no, sometimes it might be a numbers game. It might be, I have to talk to 50 people. I have to talk to 100 people. And I have to maybe talk to 50 or 100 of the right people as well. And if we don't have the proper understanding, then it could definitely lead to frustration. And then when we get frustrated, then what next naturally wants to happen, we get discouraged, and then we want to give up, and then we see it's not working, and then we want to quit. But as an entrepreneur, most likely you have an entrepreneur spirit. Most people that like are entrepreneurs have a desire to be an entrepreneur. It's not like because anybody can go get a job. You know, we can go get a job. Anybody can go get a job. And it's like, I got to go get this job because I have to go get this job. I need to pay the bills. But entrepreneurship is a choice. You see, that's a big difference. Like someone is choosing. So you have an entrepreneur spirit at the end of the day for someone to choose to be an entrepreneur. Because that's not what most people do. Most people just work the job. So when you choose to be an entrepreneur and then you get frustrated, discouraged, that leads to, giving up, quitting, but you don't really quit because the entrepreneurship spirit will bring you right back. But then people will end up coming back to something different. They'll be an entrepreneur, something different, and they'll say that over there didn't work for me. And then it's this cycle. And then now they're in another loop with another company or another product or another service. And they find themselves keep being in this loop, and they're kind of moving from this to that, to this to that. And they really can't understand the problem. It might not be even their work ethic. I'm not saying it's necessarily that. It might not be their discipline. I hear people say, I struggle with discipline and consistency. If you do something one time a day, aren't you disciplined? Aren't you consistent? If you do something once a day, so somebody can be consistent and disciplined, but because they don't understand the input versus output, how much work do I have to do in order to get a certain amount of results, what activities need to be done to get a certain amount of results, they can be consistent and disciplined in something, but just the volume of the activity could be low. You see what I'm saying? So if the volume of the activity is low and they saying it's not working, I'm disciplined, I'm consistent, but they don't understand the volume of the activity that needs to be happening, then they'll still not get the results that they desire. So it's more than just looking at this thing as one dimensional. You got to know all moving parts of it. When you're in the sales space, the sales industry, you got to understand how it works. You got to understand the psychology behind it, how systems work. You should have systems in place. But when you do have that, when you do have the psychology of it, when you do understand the statistics and the numbers, and you got the systems in place, when you do have all of that in place, that helps with your understanding of being an entrepreneur or of being an entrepreneur in the respective field that you're in. So you got to trust that process. Another part of trusting that process is becoming an expert on the product or the service that you have. Okay, that's something that's very important. You want to become an expert on a product or the service that you have. Okay, I'm trying to see the chat right here, but I don't know, something just popped up. I don't even know. Sometimes I'm having difficulty like using this system to see the comments and stuff. Sometimes it just like blanks out on me. I don't know why, but I think that was Mike. I think that was Mike Nadeep that dropped some diamonds. Let's see. Yep, I think that was. What's up, Nadeep? Yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to use this system, y'all. And just so y'all know, how I'm like streaming right now, like on several different platforms, YouTube, what are we on? TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And I'm using this app called Restream. Okay, they do have a free version of it, and they got a couple paid versions of it as well. So if y'all like want to go live and stuff like that, you can use Restream to be able to do that, right? So again, y'all drop heavy in the chat if you're watching this live. Drop hitters in the chat if you're watching the replay. All right, but just understand the quality of the quality and the quantity that has to be in place when you're doing certain activities. Now, everybody's situation is going to look different based on their business. So I can't just give everybody like one thing that works, one size fits all. But I will say you want to have knowledge base of your product as well. You at least want to know, especially like if you have a website. Yeah. So especially if you have a website, let's see. I cannot do this, man. What is up with this? Maybe if I put the comments, like there's a way I can put these comments on the screen. See if I can show in stream. That's so tiny, I can't even see it though, y'all. Like, see if I can blow that up. Nope. I don't know. It's so small, I can't even see it. Hey, look, also ABT. Always be testing. Always be testing. ABT. Always be testing, trying new things when you're an entrepreneur, right? Seeing what works, seeing what fits your system. But going back to just product knowledge, product base, you at least at bare minimum, if you sending somebody some information, whether it's your website or you sending them something, some information, a flyer, a pamphlet or something on a particular topic, you at least want to know the information that they're going to see. You do not want your clients to look at the information you saw that you sent them, and then they come back and teach you something. You at least want to know that, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to come on today, y'all, and just talk about trusting the process. Have some patience in your business. Give yourself some grace as well. Give yourself grace. Don't expect things to happen overnight. Don't expect just because, hey, you started something, just because you're in it, you started it doesn't mean like that timer is ticking on how soon you should get results, because the results will only come from effort. there's a saying like in the business that we're in, some people have a start date. Well, everybody has a start date, right? And then I should say this, everybody has a join date. All right, that's number one. Let me correct that. Everybody has a join date and everybody has a start date. Your join date and your start date might not be the same, right? The day that you incorporated your business, or through your business in an LLC, right? That might not be the day that you actually start. Sometimes we'll get something going, but we really don't start it for a week, a month, 2-3 months later, but we're counting all that time from when it first got established. That's just not how business works. It just don't move just because it exists now, right? It's just like it got to exist, and then you got to actually put some actions into it for it to actually grow. You got to nourish it. You got to feed it, water, sun, soil. You got to feed your business in order for it to actually grow. Because if you just birth the business and don't nourish it, then the business is going to just perish. Right? So trust the process. Most times when you're getting into entrepreneurship, that first year, 2 years is going to be like a learning experience. It can be like a major learning curve as well for some people. So could you make money that first year? Absolutely. I'm not saying you could make money, but what I am saying is that first year could be a major learning experience, and it should be full of self-development. But you have to trust that process, and you can't compare your journey. You can't compare your journey of 3 months to somebody who's been in the same industry or the same business for 3 years. You just can't do that. If you do that, if you start comparing your 5-month journey to somebody who's been in the business or the industry for 5 years, what's going to happen is it's just going to lead to frustration. It works for that person, but it don't work for me. And a lot of times we look at where somebody is at right now, and we want to be right there where they're at right now. But what we should be doing is saying, man, where did you start? At the level that I'm at, what should I be doing? Versus looking at where somebody else is at and trying to do everything they do because they might have to do certain things for a certain reason because of how their business is kind of aligned or set up, or how maybe their life is structured. So I wouldn't necessarily tell somebody like, go look at such and such and see where they're at and try to copy everything that they do, right? Because you don't know if you need to be doing something different at the level that you're at right now. So, take from everybody. But then also you should ask the questions when you have the opportunity to, when you get around individuals that, you find to have the success that you want to have, you should ask them, what would you recommend that I do at the level that I'm at now? Right? And keep working on that, and keep working on yourself, and keep self-development, keep learning, because you want to be able to educate others as well, because you want to bring value, and people exchange money for value. So the higher your value is, the more value you can bring, is a direct correlation to how much you ultimately end up making. So if I want to increase my, my net wealth, my income, then I need to increase my net value. And your value is not always just your product or your service. Your value can have, and especially in sales, can have a lot to do with your value personally. Right? All right, y'all. So look, hey, tap in. I think I might go back live again this evening. Might be doing a training on some follow-up. So, look out for that as well. If you missed the live, it'll you'll be able to come back and watch the recording. Again, if you are watching this live, drop heavy in the chat. If you are watching the replay, drop hitters in the chat, man. So, hey, look, y'all have a blessed day. Let's keep winning. Let's keep building. Let's keep growing. Let's keep getting 1% better.